That looks terrific. Great. Thank you. Well, hello everybody, whatever time zone you're on. I'm delighted to be talking to you today. I want to talk to you today about stakeholder capitalism. As HR professionals, what do we want? We want motivated employees who are working for a company in which they believe, a company that's doing good and is trying to make the world a better place. And I believe that stakeholder capitalism is the answer. I'm going to talk about it as to why and how HR can be a prime mover in adopting it and to make their lives and everybody else's lives better. Firstly, I need to contrast stakeholder capitalism with the prevalent model at the moment, which is shareholder capitalism. Now, shareholder capitalism has been growing into discontent over the past probably 20 years. That's been exacerbated by the pandemic as people have begun to question, what am I doing? Why is my life upset like this? Who can I trust to help me get out of it? What can I be doing? And what they're seeing is that they're not getting the right responses from business as to how they can work. So what's gone wrong with shareholder capitalism? Well, when it was really first talked about in 1970 by an economist named Milton Friedman, he said the singular purpose of shareholder capitalism is to maximize profits. Nothing else. And if you do that, you will provide enough wealth, which will be good for everybody. Unfortunately, over time, what's happened is that trust has been abused. And we're paying the price for that now in a number of ways. You can't open a paper today without seeing a corporate scandal somewhere. They are intense and they're everywhere, and they happen small and large companies. And they're basically happening for two reasons. One is sheer greed, where companies either cheat customers, they cheat employees, or they cheat the state to maximize their profits so that that money can go to the shareholder and not be spread around evenly. Or, in some cases, the corporate scandals are coming from the sheer abuse of power, which we're seeing more recently with scandals like the Me Too issues, where clearly executives are abusing the power that they've been given. But what this is doing, these scandals and the disrepute that shareholder capitalism is bringing, it's reducing the share of gross domestic product that's going to labor. Across the world, in every country, the share of gross domestic product that labor is receiving is reducing, and the share that's going to shareholders is increasing. Now, that's leading to falling levels of trust. There is a company called Edelman that do a trust barometer survey every year across 47 countries. And this year, the level of trust in CEOs had fallen to its lowest level ever. People don't trust CEOs. You know, and if people don't trust CEOs, then they're hardly going to give of their best at work. They're not going to, because they don't think that these people are looking after their interests in any way. And remember the old saying that trust arrives on foot and departs on horseback. It takes a long while to arrive, but it can leave very quickly. Equally, within shareholder capitalism at the moment, there's a significant focus on the short term. Too many companies are talking about what can I get for my next 3 months profit, my next 6 months profit. They're not looking and focusing on the long-term health of the business and the health of all the parts of the business. And within that, of course, the reality is that inequality is rising across the country. Every country, the top 1% of wealth is increasing, and that is being paid for by the bottom 40%. And so what we've got is a situation where shareholder capitalism has fallen into total disrepute. I believe the answer is stakeholder capitalism. I've shown here the World Economic Forum definition of that to give you an idea, and you can contrast it against shareholder capitalism with its singular aim to increase profits. Stakeholder capitalism talks about engaging all stakeholders in shared and sustained value creation. So not just shareholders, but across all stakeholders, and the value should be shared, and you're looking for that in the long term, not the short term. Yes, you still have shareholders and business, but look what's joined them. We now have a number of other stakeholders, which stakeholder capitalism requires you to focus. Let's look at some and see how stakeholder capitalism can work in practice. First of all, employees. They are a stakeholder in the business. We employ them, or we hire them, we use them. Do we treat them fairly? Do we treat them as humans? Are they paid reasonably? Are their conditions fair? Do they have rights to appeal? Or are we just giving them the minimum that we think we can get away with simply because they don't have influence in the same way that they feel they should? Let's look at the customers. Do we give our customers the minimum we think we can get away with? Do we fail them on after-sales service? Do we not bother once we've made a sale? That's it and it's gone. Or do we look to try and delight them on a continuing basis? And that's the difference with stakeholder capitalism. And look at one of the stakeholders is the society and state. Do we pay our taxes? There's a lot of talk at the moment about companies that aren't doing that. Equally within the society and the state is how we operate within the environment. Are we concerned about the environment? What are we doing to bring our impact on the environment less and becoming a good citizen in that? As far as our suppliers are concerned, too often we really don't care. But what we should be doing is looking at our suppliers and saying, do they think we're great customers? Because we know we need great customers, we need great suppliers as well. And if we don't treat our suppliers well, then and try and screw them down on price and don't pay them on time, then they're hardly going to work in our favor. So it's very different. Stakeholder capitalism is very different to shareholder capitalism. And it's not the only pressure at the moment that is on shareholder capitalism. There is another impact that is having a great significant force on the way that companies operate. And that's the rise of what's called ESG investing. Now, ESG investing is where fund managers and investors look to ensure that their money is invested behind companies that are doing good. They are avoiding more and more companies that aren't looking after the world, aren't looking after the planet, and aren't looking after their employees. The level of investment in these funds last year doubled. Just incredible. They've really taken off. They've gone from 1% of total investments to over 25% in just over 5 years. So if your company doesn't have environmental targets, can't show what it's doing, can't show what its targets are, can't show what its aims are, can't show that it's tracking them, then you're unlikely to get the level of investment that you used to get. And social investment is a newer form that is also increasing. That is where the investors look to see how a company is treating its employees. Does this company pay its employees fairly? Does it have a good gender balance? Does it have good diversity? Is it doing what it should do to look after employees' rights? Are the working conditions okay? These are more and more important for companies that are investing in your business. And as far as governance is concerned, just to be clear, that's where investors are checking on the quality of the management. Do we think these people are capable of running this company? Can they invest our money well? Do we trust them? Are they open? Are they honest? And so from that perspective, that's another huge impact on to bring about stakeholder capitalism. So what's your role in this? I think you got to help to build the business case for adopting. We can't stand still, and if you want motivated employees, and if you want to be able to recruit the best people, younger people are going to expect that you are doing all of the things that we've been talking about. Well, I could tell you lots of examples of wonderful companies that are doing great things to be fair stakeholder capitalists. But you've got to do the research that applies to your business. I do encourage you to check out B Corp for some helpful resources. You can see on the side of the screen what B Corp is a bit. They are using business as a force for good. And any company that wants to be a B Corp has to be certified. They have to be approved. Now, B Corp started in 2006 in the United States, but it's spread widely since then. And they'd be a great resource for you to check out because they're quite open and they want to help companies move in this way. Then you can see their focus from that rather long description of what their aims are. But they really are a force for good. And as far as resources are concerned, I commend to you what they call the impact assessment, which will enable you to look at your company. And they ask the questions, you don't share anything, to see how your company is impacting employees, work on the community, the environment, and customers. And you can go through that in your own time, your own privacy, and see where is my company, where are the gaps that my company has here, and what can I be doing about it? And if you do that, then that gives you the chance to have a case to take to your CEO. We all know you need to get the CEO on board if you're going to change the direction of the company like this. But the people have said to me, well, I can't always get a CEO to do what he or she should be doing. If not, well, then find a divisional director, a country manager who you believe would come on, and then you can start small, which is often the best way on this. Pick your battles that you can win and make progress, and as you do that, it will pick up pace. Clearly, not that I need to tell you, but this is a deep change for people, and your employees have to be involved in just about every aspect of this. They have to help you establish your sustainability targets. They have to help you measure them, monitor them, because you want them involved in this. That's where their motivation will come from. That's where they will be proud to be working for your company, so that they can look to delight your customers more, and to work with suppliers to ensure that your suppliers are equally focused on you becoming a good example of stakeholder capitalism. So I think there is a real chance for you to gain a competitive advantage here if your company can embrace stakeholder capitalism. I thank you for listening to me, and I wish you all success.